Yeah.
And
Says who? Says
right.
who? Right? Like, well, I think me, and everywhere I look, I was just backing up a few steps and going like, no one gave them permission. And by the way, that's everything. No one gives the mechanic permission. No one gives the plumber. You just start doing.
Yep.
There's something about the arts historically where there's just been this prestige and, well, who's approving you and what did they pay you? Was it a paid gig? Oh, you just made this on your own. Nobody paid you. It's the stay-at-home mom.
Right.
Like,
Right.
you do. Like, well, I take care of my kids. That's it. You know. Oh, and yet if there's a person next to her and says, well, what do you do? And she says, you know, I run a daycare. They go, oh my goodness, that is amazing. You take care of children, right? You know, like, because you get paid for it. It's a business. It's a service. Stay-at-home mom is like, that's all you do is stay home and take care of your kids. So I'm always fascinated where people put like, oh, now it's valuable. And it's always a money thing. It's always, right? It's always that. And yet now you have Netflix, which doesn't even release its numbers. Not even
true, right? Like the ultimate, like, hey, why do we have to tell you this stuff?
Right. And so, and it's funny when people question you, they just, by the way, they just keep going down the ladder of says who, and if it says who, well, it says who. Well, my project's on Amazon Prime. It got selected. Oh, it got on Amazon Prime. Oh,
how'd you get it on there?
Well, you know, I submitted it, and it got approved. Well, can anyone just get approved on Amazon Prime? Well, you could actually. 7 years ago, anyone could, but they got rid of that, and now you actually have to go through a vetted agency. There's like 3 left, and they submit it. Oh, okay. So there's kind of a vetting process. Well, how's it doing?
Right. Exactly. Are you making any money? Are you making? That's always the next question. It always comes down to that last question.
Right. And so for me, that's where it gets like, I'm just listening. I'm always listening for what's going to be the validation point. And I just run the math really quick. My wife always says, you go to A to Z so quick, Darren, and someone asks you a question and you go to Z and no one understands how you got to Z. You know, everyone's like, she's like, just give us a few more letters in between. You know, you just go right to Z. And because it's hard, because I'm always running the math on how I think the world works, only in the category that the sort of mathematical sort of interest that I have is just in the says who category. I'm just trying to figure out says who. But it reminds me how in the self-publishing era, when that started in Amazon, you could touch a button and it would go and books on demand.
Kindle.
And that was what's that, right? And that was a joke, and it was like that was kind of a joke. Anyone can do this. And then is it Hugh Huey that the writer, the author writes the book Silo and a couple other Sands Silo? I think he changed it. 500,000 books get sold. And then all of a sudden, this self-publishing thing is like, well, but it's different. It's different for him. Well, why? Well, because he's successful. And then you realize that the only stigma is in being a loser. If people think you're a loser. So you're always trying to prove to people that you're just not a loser. And this kind of goes back to, I think, your question, which was, if you've ever truly had, not like your dad beat you up, that's horrible stuff. But if you've ever been actually beat up or in an environment where you thought you could be beat up, if you've ever had a couple of those experiences that are real and visceral, very few things after that scare you. Because now that's the lowest, like, well, at least I didn't get my butt kicked. At least nobody like held me down and like punched me. Like, so everything seems easy after that. And then when the internet shows up, it's like people make comments about you. They're like, oh, that still is a lot easier. That still doesn't hurt as much as someone physically punching you in the face. Right? Like, so to me, that's always like, that's still the bar. Like, well, no one's physically hurting me. right? That's kind of my bar.
Well, you reminded me of something as far as this whole self-publishing thing goes. I'd written a few books. I remember I called like someone at Barnes and Noble, and I remember her telling me, "Oh, well, the kind of books that you're doing, they're not really meant to be in stores." And I'm like, "What? Like, are they so different that they're not meant to be in stores?" And then I had some guy when I didn't even really need this. I wrote a bunch of books for this publisher, and I just gave it to this teacher that I was working with, and he was like, "Oh, I know someone who works at Barnes and Noble. I'm going to tell her about your books. We're going to see if we can get them in there." And then he comes back to me, and he's showing me, and this was like a couple of years ago, Darren. So I'm just saying, by this point, I knew all this stuff. It's like, "Oh, Barnes and Noble has this self-publishing program, and you can do it, and you can get it in there." And I'm like, why would anyone do that? You can just do it through Amazon. You control it all. And it's just so funny to me how all these things where, like, I'm just saying the whole idea of being a loser somehow, like, when that kind of collapses on itself and it becomes like, I'm sure you've had many instances of people that made you feel that way for one reason or another, but then came to you and were like, "Hey, like later, oh, my daughter's an actress. If you ever need anyone to be in your project, oh, hey, are you looking for writers?" And it's just so funny how people forget those conversations, because you and I don't forget them. Like, I'm sorry.
No.
Never.
Yeah. I mean, I always say, like, I'm incredibly dangerous is a weird humble brag. I guess I'm not being humble, but maybe it's humble because I actually listen to people. I actually listen to every single word they say. I listen. Like, I thought that was respectful to listen. I listen to every single thing everyone has ever said to me. And then I make a note, having talked to that person. And I remember what I thought that was a genuinely good thing to do, right? I remember everything everyone has ever told me, right? And so you're right. Then there's times where you're like, I wish I could forget that I remembered everything, back to your point, like, because I remember everything, right? But there's this weird, again, I fight against it. Like, we just always want to be approved. Or, I mean, Andrew Schultz, when he uses the like hip slang of like the cosign, we're always looking for a cosign. Who's co-signing you? Like, I just love that term. Like, we're always looking for the cosign. Oh, I'm making a movie, and people look at you, right? With Warner Brothers. Oh, I'm making a movie. It's $10 million budget. Oh, like, we're always looking for the I'm legitimate. I'm real. Someone vetted me. I have a job. Who hired you? Where do you work for? What do they pay you? Like, there's just always this justify yourself, right? Justify yourself. And I think me and you have just learned to, in a weird way, in a very similar way, like, I don't know if filmmaking is the thing that is technically financed my life. It's a part of it. But I feel like everything else has financed it, like, and that's back to Karen saying earlier, I was probably never meant to be a director. I was probably meant to be a producer or an agent. But in 1990, there was no agent school. There weren't 30 directors around me, and I got to find projects and develop them. Like, me and you had to go and do everything. I got to produce, I got to write, I got to direct, I got to call people, and they're not showing up. So I need to figure something out. And then that means, well, I probably the script wasn't as good as it could have been. And I'm reworking the script while I'm trying to direct. So I'm probably not that good of a director because I'm trying to do this. I mean, everything is just a compromise, this sort of embarrassment of riches. I wish I could find the right analogy, that it's an embarrassment of sort of inabilities, right? Because I can't do everything. Well, you should just have a producer. Who? What do you mean?
Well, I'm not gonna lie. When you and I first met, that was one of the things I really loved, because I was like, wait, I don't have to do anything anymore. I can just write scripts for him, which is what I really want to do anyway. But It's like, I'm just saying that only goes so far because
by the way, me and you have a project coming out. I actually wanted to take this podcast as an opportunity to announce that I have a collaboration with Evan Jacobs coming out, hopefully early next year.